Do not touch anything.
She got a court order for our safe deposit box. Sure, I'd hidden my inheritance there. "It's all mine," she gloated. I just handed her the key. When she opened it, her own lawyer's hands started to tremble. He slammed it shut and hissed, "Don't touch anything!" But I'm getting ahead of myself. Before we continue, we ask you to hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We would like to get to know our audience better. 2 months earlier, I was still pretending everything was fine. My name is Frank Rourke, and I co-own a solar installation company with my business partner, Pete. We do residential and commercial projects across 3 counties. Good work, steady income, nothing flashy. I'm the guy who calculates load capacities and voltage drops, who knows which inverter works best on a south-facing roof with partial shade. I like problems I can solve with math and tools. My wife Maddie worked as a secretary at City Hall. Administrative assistant, she always corrected me. She handled scheduling for the mayor's office, managed some public records requests, filed permits. Decent pay, good benefits, pension after 20 years. We'd been married 9 years, no kids. We talked about it sometimes, but the timing never felt right. She came home from her girls' trip on a Tuesday evening. I was in the garage, organizing my toolbox, when I heard her car pull up. She came in through the kitchen door, dragging her small suitcase. "Hey," I called out. "How was it?" "Exhausting," she said. "But fun. You know how Jessica gets." Jessica was her best friend from college. They'd gone to some spa resort upstate, or that's what Maddie told me. 3 days of facials and wine tasting and whatever else women do on those trips. I walked into the kitchen. She was pouring herself water, her back to me. "You smell different," I said. She turned, glass halfway to her lips. "What?" "Your perfume. That's new." "Oh." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Jessica bought it for me. You like it?" "It's nice." She set the glass down and came over, kissed my cheek. "I missed you." "Missed you too." But something felt off. The way she kept her phone face down on the counter. The way she didn't unpack right away, just left her suitcase by the door. The way she went to take a shower, even though she'd supposedly been in the car for only 2 hours. I'm not naturally suspicious. I don't check phones or follow people. But I notice details. It's my job. A loose wire here, a misaligned panel there. Small things that indicate bigger problems. Over the next week, I watched. Not obviously, just paying attention. She started working late more often. She'd come home at 7, 8 o'clock, claiming budget meetings or special projects. She'd check her phone constantly, even during dinner. When I asked about her day, her answers got vague. "How was work?" "Fine. Busy." "What are you working on?" "Just regular stuff. Permits. Scheduling." She used to tell me stories. About the mayor's temper, about the city planner who couldn't use Excel, about the woman in finance who brought her chihuahua to work. Now she gave me nothing. I started looking at her social media. Public posts, nothing hidden. Photos from the girls' trip. Maddie and Jessica at the spa. Maddie and Jessica at dinner. Maddie and Jessica by the pool. But in the background of several photos, the same man kept appearing. Tall, dark uniform, sunglasses. In one shot, he was standing near the hotel entrance. In another, he was visible through the restaurant window. In a third, he was getting out of a black sedan, not a guest, a driver. I zoomed in. The uniform had a city government insignia on the shoulder, not just any driver, someone who worked for a high-level official. I recognized him. I'd seen him around City Hall when I picked Maddie up for lunch. He drove for the deputy mayor. Young guy, maybe 30. Good-looking in that groomed, confident way some men have. My stomach twisted, but I kept my face neutral. I saved the photos. I made a note of the dates. Then I did what I do best. I started gathering information. The next morning, I went about my routine. Coffee at 6, job site by 7. But my mind was working differently now. Every conversation with Maddie became data. Every detail mattered. She came down for breakfast wearing a new blouse. I'd never seen it before. "That's nice," I said, pointing at it with my coffee mug. "This old thing? I've had it forever." She hadn't. I knew her wardrobe. I'd done laundry for 9 years. "Must have forgotten," I said. She smiled, relieved, kissed the top of my head. "I'll be late again tonight. Mayor's doing this community outreach thing." "Okay, I'll grab something on the way home." "Thanks for understanding." After she left, I checked the mayor's public calendar. No community outreach scheduled. Nothing at all after 4 o'clock. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at my phone. Part of me wanted to be wrong, wanted there to be some explanation that made sense. But the evidence kept piling up. At work that day, Pete noticed I was distracted. "You all right?" he asked as we were loading panels onto a roof. "Yeah, just thinking." "About what?" "Maddie." He waited. Pete was good at that. Never pushed, just gave you space to talk if you needed it. "I think she's seeing someone," I said finally. "You sure?" "Not 100%, but close." "What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet." He nodded. "Whatever you decide, I've got your back." "Thanks." We finished the installation in silence, but I appreciated him not asking more questions, not offering unsolicited advice, just being there. That evening, I drove past City Hall at 6:30. Maddie's car was still in the lot. So was a black sedan with city plates, the deputy mayor's car. I parked across the street and waited. At 7:15, the sedan pulled out. I couldn't see who was driving, but I didn't need to. I knew. 5 minutes later, Maddie's car left too. She headed toward home. I gave her a 10-minute head start, then followed. When I got home, she was already there, changing out of her work clothes. "Hey," she called from upstairs. "How was your day?" "Good. Finished that commercial job downtown." "That's great." She came down in sweatpants and a t-shirt. Her hair was damp, she'd showered. Again. "What do you want for dinner?" she asked. "I already ate." "Oh, okay." We spent the evening in different rooms, her on her laptop in the bedroom, me watching television in the living room. This was becoming normal. The distance, the silence. Around 10, I went upstairs. She was asleep, or pretending to be. I got into bed carefully, trying not to disturb her. But I couldn't sleep. I lay there in the dark, listening to her breathe, and I felt something shift inside me. Not anger yet. Something colder. Something patient. If she was doing what I thought she was doing, she'd underestimated me. She'd assumed I'd never notice, never question, never fight back. She was wrong. I didn't hire a private investigator. Too expensive, too risky. If Maddie found out, she'd know I was onto her. And honestly, I didn't need one. Everything I needed was publicly available if you knew where to look. City Hall has public access parking cameras. They're part of the transparency initiative the mayor pushed through 2 years ago. Anyone can request footage for legitimate purposes. I submitted a records request for footage from the dates Maddie claimed she was working late. It took a week, but I got the files. Hours of grainy footage. I fast-forwarded through most of it, looking for Maddie's car. Found it. Multiple times. On 3 separate evenings, her car was parked in the lot until 7:30, 8 o'clock. But here's what made my jaw clench. The driver's official vehicle, the deputy mayor's black sedan, was also there. And on 2 occasions, both cars left within 5 minutes of each other. I cross-referenced with City Hall's official calendar. The deputy mayor had public events those evenings. He wasn't in the building, which meant his driver shouldn't have been either, unless he had other business. I checked social media again. The driver had a public profile. Lots of photos, gym selfies, weekend trips. And there, buried in his timeline, a photo from 3 months ago. A group shot at some City Hall charity event. Maddie was in it, standing right next to him, her hand on his arm. The caption read, "Great people make great cities." I sat in my truck in the City Hall parking lot, staring at my phone. Part of me wanted to confront her, storm into her office and lay it all out. But I'd learned something over the years. When you're dealing with a structural problem, you don't just patch the surface. You assess the whole system. You find the weak points. You plan your approach. So I waited. 3 days later, I picked Maddie up for lunch. We went to the diner across from City Hall, the one with the good sandwiches. She was distracted, checking her phone every few minutes. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Yeah, just busy." She didn't look up. "Want to do something this weekend? Maybe drive up to the lake?" "Can't. I have that work thing." "What work thing?" She hesitated. "Budget review, Saturday morning." "On Saturday?" "Yeah, we're behind schedule." I nodded, took a bite of my sandwich. Through the diner window, I could see City Hall across the street, and there, walking out the front entrance, was the driver. He climbed into the deputy mayor's sedan and drove off. "I'll be home by noon," Maddie said. "We can do something in the afternoon." Sure. But I already knew she wouldn't be home by noon, and I knew exactly where she'd be. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed next to Maddie, listening to her breathe, and I felt the anger building, not explosive rage, cold, calculated fury, the kind that doesn't make you shout, the kind that makes you think. She was taking advantage of my decency, my trust. She assumed I'd never question her, never look deeper. She thought I was furniture, comfortable, useful, easy to ignore. I got up at 2 a.m. and went to my office. I pulled up the photos again, the parking footage, the social media posts. I started building a timeline, dates, locations, inconsistencies. By dawn, I had a file. Not proof of an affair, not exactly, but proof of opportunity, proof of lies, proof that she wasn't where she claimed to be. I heard Maddie's alarm go off, heard her shower running. I closed my laptop and went downstairs, started the coffee maker. She came down in her work clothes, looking tired. "Morning," she said. "Morning. Coffee's ready." "Thanks." She poured a cup, added cream. "I might be late again tonight." "Okay." She kissed my cheek and left. I stood in the kitchen, holding my coffee, staring at nothing. Then I heard it, her voice, faint, coming from outside. I walked to the window. She was on the phone in the driveway, her back to the house. I cracked the window. "Tonight, yeah," she was saying. "Frank won't care. He never does." A pause. "Are you kidding? Frank is just furniture. He won't fight." She laughed. Actually laughed. I closed the window, set my coffee down, took a long, slow breath. Then I smiled. Because now I knew exactly what she thought of me, and that was a weapon I could use. I spent the rest of the morning planning. Not emotional planning, strategic planning. Like designing a solar array. You need to know the load requirements, the voltage drops, the weak points in the system. Maddie's weak points were becoming clear. She thought I was passive. She thought I'd never suspect. She thought she could control the narrative. She was wrong on all counts. I started with the driver. His name was Ryan Coulter, according to his social media profile. 29 years old. He'd worked for the city for 3 years, assigned to the deputy mayor for the last 18 months. Before that, he'd been in private security. His posts were frequent and revealing. He posted about his gym routine every morning, his weekend trips to the coast, his nights out with friends, and occasionally, subtly, there were hints of something else. A photo of a sunset with the caption, "Best evenings are the secret ones." A picture of a hotel room. Sometimes you need to get away. A shot of champagne glasses, celebrating something special. None of it proved anything, but together it painted a picture. I dug deeper. Public records showed he lived in an apartment downtown, modest rent, single. No spouse, no kids listed on any paperwork. I checked his employment history. Before the city job, he'd worked for a private security firm that contracted with high-profile clients. Politicians, executives, people with money. That was interesting. It suggested he was good at being discreet, good at keeping secrets, good at knowing how to operate in privileged circles without drawing attention. But everyone makes mistakes, and I was going to find his. Over the next few days, I became meticulous. I documented everything. I created a spreadsheet tracking Maddie's claim schedule against her actual whereabouts. I logged every instance where the deputy mayor's car appeared at City Hall when it shouldn't have been there. I also started paying attention to patterns. Maddie always worked late on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Always. For the past 6 weeks, without fail. I checked the deputy mayor's calendar. He had standing commitments on Tuesday and Thursday evenings, city council meetings, community forums, events where his attendance was mandatory and public, events where he wouldn't need his driver to sit around waiting, which meant Ryan had those evenings free, which meant he could use the official vehicle without anyone noticing. Smart. But not smart enough. I also noticed something else. On the weekends Maddie claimed she was doing errands or meeting Jessica, Ryan's social media went dark. No posts, no check-ins, nothing. That wasn't his normal pattern. He usually posted at least once a day. But on those weekends? Silence. It suggested he was with someone he didn't want people to know about. I added all of this to my file, page after page of evidence, timeline after timeline of inconsistencies. But I still needed more. I needed something concrete, something undeniable. And then I found it. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Maddie's friend Jessica. Jessica ran a fitness coaching business, mostly online. She posted constantly. Workout videos, meal plans, motivational quotes. She had maybe 3,000 followers, which she parlayed into coaching clients who paid her for customized programs. But when I started digging into her business, I found complaints. Lots of them. Review sites had posts from people claiming Jessica charged them for meal plans she never delivered. Others said she'd taken their money for training programs and then ghosted them. Some said she'd stolen their before and after photos and used them as her own success stories. I cross-referenced. Found the original photos on stock image sites. Jessica had downloaded free images and claimed they were her clients. That was fraud. Small scale, but fraud nonetheless. I compiled everything. Original images with timestamps. Jessica's posts claiming them as her work. Reviews from unhappy clients. Complaints about unfulfilled services. Then I created an anonymous email account and sent the package to 15 of Jessica's current clients. People who'd recently paid her for programs, people who were actively posting about working with her. The email was simple. Thought you should know who you're working with. See attached documentation. I didn't editorialize, didn't add my opinions, just presented the facts and let people draw their own conclusions. Within 48 hours, the response was explosive. 3 clients publicly called Jessica out on social media. They posted the evidence I'd sent them. They demanded refunds. They warned others. Jessica's response was defensive and chaotic. She claimed the images were inspiration, not actual clients. She said the negative reviews were from competitors trying to sabotage her. She threatened legal action against anyone spreading lies. But the damage was done. Her follower count started dropping. Clients canceled their contracts. Her carefully constructed online brand collapsed in a matter of days. And Maddie? She was collateral damage. Jessica had been Maddie's main cheerleader, the one encouraging her to leave me, the one giving her advice on how to maximize her divorce settlement, the one telling her I'd never fight back. Without Jessica, Maddie lost her support system. I watched it happen through Maddie's changing behavior. She became more withdrawn, more anxious. She'd check her phone constantly, waiting for Jessica to text back. But Jessica was too busy trying to save her imploding business to care about Maddie's problems. One evening, Maddie came home visibly upset. "What's wrong?" I asked, even though I knew. "Nothing. Just a bad day." "Work stuff?" "Friend stuff. Jessica's going through something." "Sorry to hear that." She looked at me like she wanted to say more. but she didn't. Just went upstairs and closed the bedroom door. I waited until she was in the shower, then I checked her laptop again. She'd left it open on the kitchen table. An email from Jessica. "I can't deal with this right now. My whole life is falling apart. I'll call you when things settle down." Maddie had responded, "I need you. I don't know what to do about Frank. He's acting weird." No response from Jessica. I closed the laptop and went back to the living room. Maddie's world was shrinking. Jessica was gone, and soon Ryan would be too. I turned my attention back to him. Ryan Coulter, the driver who thought he was untouchable. I'd been documenting his misuse of the deputy mayor's vehicle for weeks. 23 instances over 6 months where he'd used the official car for personal business. Timestamps, locations, cross-referenced with the deputy mayor's public schedule. It was time to put that information to use. But I had to be careful. If I sent it to the wrong person, it might get buried. City bureaucracies are good at protecting their own. I needed to send it to someone who'd take it seriously, someone who'd act on it. I researched the deputy mayor's office structure, found the name of his chief of staff, a woman named Patricia Hendricks. She had a reputation for running a tight ship, no nonsense, no tolerance for mistakes, perfect. I compiled my report, made it professional, factual, no emotional language, just data. "Dear Ms. Hendricks, I am writing to bring to your attention a matter involving the misuse of city property. Attached, you will find documentation showing that driver Ryan Coulter has been using the deputy mayor's official vehicle for personal purposes during work hours on at least 23 occasions over the past 6 months. The attached files include parking camera footage showing the vehicle at non-official locations during times when the deputy mayor was at public events, timestamps correlating vehicle location with the deputy mayor's public schedule, social media posts from driver Coulter indicating personal activities during work hours. All information has been obtained from public records and publicly accessible sources. I trust you will handle this matter appropriately. A concerned citizen." I sent it from an anonymous email account, used a public library computer to avoid any digital trail back to me. Then I waited. It took 8 days, 8 days of watching Maddie become more anxious, 8 days of seeing her check her phone compulsively, 8 days of her coming home later and later. And then it happened. Ryan was suspended, pending an internal investigation into misuse of city property. I heard about it through Pete's sister, who worked in the city finance department. She mentioned it casually over dinner when Pete invited me over. "Big drama at City Hall," she said. "One of the drivers got suspended. Something about using the deputy mayor's car for personal stuff." "That's a shame," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "Yeah. Apparently someone sent a big file of evidence to the chief of staff, time-stamped photos, the whole thing. Guy didn't even try to deny it. Sounds like someone did their homework. Seriously, whoever put that report together must have spent weeks on it." I smiled into my beer. The next day, Maddie called me, first time she'd initiated contact in 2 weeks. "Frank?" "Yeah?" Did you hear about what happened at City Hall?" "What happened?" "One of the drivers got suspended for misusing a city vehicle." "Okay. Why are you telling me this?" She was quiet for a moment. "No reason. Just thought you might have heard." "I don't really follow City Hall gossip, Maddie." "Right, of course." Another pause. Have you been doing something?" "Like what?" "I don't know. Things keep happening. Jessica's business collapsed. Now this thing with the driver, and Maddie, I'm trying to get through a divorce. I don't have time or energy for whatever drama you've got going on at work." "It's not drama. It's just weird. Too many coincidences. Sometimes bad luck comes in clusters. Happens to everyone." She didn't sound convinced. "Okay, fine. Was there something else?" "No. I'll talk to you later." She hung up. I sat in my truck, parked outside a job site, and felt a deep sense of satisfaction. She was starting to see the pattern, starting to realize that maybe I wasn't as passive as she thought. But she still didn't understand the full scope of what was coming. Not yet. Ryan's suspension hit him hard. According to Pete's sister, he'd shown up at City Hall twice, demanding to speak with the deputy mayor. Security had to escort him out both times. He was unraveling. And when people unravel, they make mistakes. I kept my distance, went about my work, installed solar panels, calculated voltage drops, lived my normal life. But I was watching, always watching. And I knew that sooner or later, Ryan would come for me. The divorce papers arrived on a Thursday. I was at a job site when the process server found me. He handed me the envelope with an apologetic look. "Sorry, man," he said. "It's your job." "Thanks." I waited until lunch to open it, sat in my truck, unwrapped the sandwich I'd brought, and read through the petition. Maddie wanted the house. She wanted half my business. She wanted half the safe deposit box. She wanted alimony. Basically, she wanted everything except my truck and my tools. I called Tom Brennan. He was a divorce lawyer Pete had recommended, had an office above a pizza shop, wore suits that looked like he'd slept in them, but he had a reputation for being thorough and relentless. "Frank Rourke," I said when he answered. "Yeah, Pete mentioned you might call. You got served?" "About an hour ago. Bring the papers by this afternoon. We'll go through them." His office smelled like pepperoni and carpet cleaner. He cleared a stack of files off a chair so I could sit. "Let's see what we're dealing with," he said, taking the petition. He read through it, making notes on a legal pad, grunted a few times, shook his head once. "Well?" I asked. "She's going for broke. House, business, inheritance, alimony. Standard playbook for someone who thinks their spouse won't fight." "Can she get all that?" "Depends. You've been married 9 years?" "Yeah." "No kids?" "No." "House is probably marital property unless you owned it before the marriage. We bought it together, year after we got married." "Okay, so that's 50-50, unless one of you can prove you contributed more. Business?" "Started it 7 years ago with Pete. Equal partners." "During the marriage. She's got a claim there. Might not be half, but something." He flipped a page. "Safe deposit box. What's in it?" "Inheritance from my grandfather. 50,000. "When did you receive it?" 3 years ago. "Did you keep it separate, or did it go into a joint account?" "Kept it separate. Put it straight into the safe deposit box." "Good, that helps. Inheritance is usually separate property if it's kept separate, but she'll argue it became marital property the moment you deposited it in a bank with both your names on the account. The box is only in my name." He looked up. "You sure?" "Positive. I opened it specifically to keep the inheritance separate. Even better, we can fight that." He set the papers down. "Alimony is trickier. 9 years is long enough that a court might award some, but it won't be forever. Maybe a few years max. What if I fight everything? Then we go to trial. Costs more, takes longer, gets messier. I want to fight. Why? Because she lied. Because she's trying to take things she didn't earn. Because I'm tired of being treated like I don't matter." He studied me for a long moment. "You know something." "Know what?" "About her. You've got dirt." I didn't respond. "Look," he said, leaning back. "I'm your lawyer. Whatever you tell me is privileged. But if you've got evidence of an affair, hidden assets, anything like that, I need to know." "She's having an affair." "You got proof?" "Circumstantial. Timeline inconsistencies. Photos showing her with another man. Parking footage showing they left work together multiple times." "Who's the guy?" "Driver for the deputy mayor. Uses a city vehicle." Tom whistled. "That's a mess. For him anyway. For you? Could be useful." "How?" "Adultery can affect alimony. Judge might reduce it or eliminate it entirely if we can prove she was cheating. Will it affect property division? No. Texas is a no-fault state. Doesn't matter why the marriage failed, just that it did. But it can impact alimony, and it makes her look bad in front of a judge. Then let's use it. He made more notes. I'll need everything you've got. Photos, timelines, witnesses, anything that proves she was somewhere she shouldn't have been with someone she shouldn't have been with. I'll get it to you. Good. Now, here's the strategy. We file a response denying her claims. We argue the house should be sold and proceeds split. We argue she has no claim to your business beyond a small percentage based on marital contributions. We argue the inheritance is separate property. And we argue no alimony because she committed adultery. Sounds good. It'll be a fight. She'll push back hard. Let her. He grinned. I like you, Frank. Most guys in your position just want it over. You've got spine. I've got reasons. Over the next week, I compiled everything for Tom. Photos, timelines, parking footage, social media screenshots. I organized it all into a binder with tabs and annotations. Tom looked through it with growing appreciation. This is better than what most private investigators give me, he said. I pay attention to details. No kidding. He closed the binder. This is strong. Circumstantial, like you said, but strong. Pattern of behavior, opportunity, timeline discrepancies. A judge will take notice. When do we file? I'll have the response ready by next week. Good. But while Tom was preparing the legal response, I was preparing something else. I'd been watching Ryan, not following him exactly, just paying attention to his social media, his patterns, his behavior. He was spiraling. His posts became erratic, angry rants about injustice, vague threats about people who'd wronged him, photos of him drinking alone. He was a man on the edge, and men on the edge do stupid things. I started carrying pepper spray in my pocket. Just a small canister, legal, non-lethal, but effective if I needed it. I also started varying my routine, different times leaving work, different routes home, different grocery stores, because I knew that eventually Ryan would come for me. The question wasn't if, it was when. The answer came 2 weeks later. I was walking out of a hardware store, carrying a bag of electrical supplies, when I saw him, leaning against a truck across the parking lot, arms crossed, staring at me. I kept walking, stayed calm, got to my truck and unlocked it. Frank Rourke, his voice behind me, closer than I expected. I turned. He was maybe 10 feet away, closer now, trying to look intimidating. Yeah? You've been busy. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you don't. He took another step forward. You ruined my life. I'm just trying to get through a divorce, man. I don't even know you. Don't play dumb. His voice was tight, controlled, but barely. You sent those files. You got me suspended. I didn't send anything to anyone. Liar. He moved closer. You think you can destroy people and just walk away? I think you should step back. Or what? People were watching now. An elderly couple loading groceries, a mom with 2 kids, a guy in a uniform smoking a cigarette near the entrance. Ryan saw them too. He forced a smile, but his eyes stayed hard. This isn't over. Whatever you say. I got in my truck and drove off, checked the rearview mirror. He stood there for a long moment, then got in his vehicle and left. My hands were shaking, adrenaline. I called Tom as soon as I got home. Ryan Coulter just confronted me, I said. Where? Hardware store parking lot. What did he say? Accused me of ruining his life. Said it wasn't over. Tried to intimidate me. Threats? Implied. Nothing explicit. Were there witnesses? Several. Good. File a police report. Now. I drove to the station and gave my statement. The officer took notes, asked for witness descriptions. I gave him the hardware store location, told him the approximate time. We'll check their security cameras, he said. If we can verify your account, we'll talk to this Ryan guy. What happens then? Depends on what he says. Might issue a warning, might charge him with harassment. Hard to say. Okay, thanks. But the police report wasn't the point. The point was, The paper trail, the documentation, the evidence that Ryan was unstable, aggressive, potentially dangerous. All of it would matter later. Maddie texted me that night. First time in days. "I heard what happened. Are you okay?" I didn't respond immediately. Let her wait. An hour later. "Frank, please, I'm worried." Another hour. "Ryan's not himself right now. He's going through a lot." I finally responded, "Not my problem." "He wouldn't have confronted you if you hadn't—" I didn't let her finish. Hadn't what? Hadn't existed? Hadn't been inconvenient? That's not what I mean. Then what do you mean, Maddie? No response. I turned off my phone and went to bed. The next few days were tense. I kept expecting Ryan to show up again, at a job site, at Pete's place, at the grocery store. But he didn't. Maybe the police had talked to him. Maybe he'd thought better of it. Or maybe he was just planning something worse. I stayed vigilant, varied my routine, kept the pepper spray close. Meanwhile, the divorce moved forward. Tom filed our response. Maddie's lawyer filed motions. We were scheduled for mediation in 3 weeks. I also kept working on my larger plan. The one that went beyond the divorce. The one that would ensure Maddie understood exactly what she'd done. I started with her job. Maddie worked as an administrative assistant in the mayor's office. She handled scheduling, filed permits, managed some public records. It was a government job, which meant everything she did was technically public record. I submitted a request for her work calendar. Just the official one, the one that showed her scheduled hours and meetings. It took 2 weeks, but I got it. 6 months of her work schedule. I compared it to her personal claims. The late nights, the weekend work, the special projects, and I found discrepancies, lots of them. Days when her official calendar showed her leaving at 5, but she told me she was working until 8. Weekends when her calendar was blank, but she'd claimed she had mandatory budget meetings. Afternoons marked as personal time, but she'd said she was at work. None of it was illegal. City employees had flexibility, but it was pattern of dishonesty. And in a government job, honesty mattered. I also found something else, minor but interesting. Maddie had approved several permit applications that should have required additional review. Building permits, zoning variances, things that normally went through a committee. She'd signed off on them herself, probably trying to be efficient, probably not thinking anyone would check. But someone was checking now. Me. I compiled the discrepancies, noted the permit irregularities, cross-referenced everything with official city policies. Then I drafted an anonymous letter to the City Hall's Internal Affairs Office. To whom it may concern, I am writing to bring to your attention potential irregularities in the Mayor's Office administrative procedures. Specifically, Administrative Assistant Madison Rourke has approved multiple building permits and zoning variances without proper committee review, in violation of City Code Section 12-4. Additionally, there appear to be significant discrepancies between her official work calendar and her actual work hours, suggesting possible misuse of city time. I have attached documentation supporting these claims. All information has been obtained from public records. A concerned citizen, I mailed it, anonymously, from a post office 2 towns over, and then I waited. The response came faster than I expected. 10 days after I sent the letter, Pete's sister mentioned something at dinner. "There's an internal review happening at City Hall," she said. "Someone reported irregularities in permit approvals." "What kind of irregularities?" Pete asked. "Administrative stuff. Permits getting approved without proper oversight. City manager's not happy about it." "Who's being reviewed?" "Not sure. But it's someone in the mayor's office." I kept my expression neutral, took a sip of my beer. That night, Maddie called me. Her voice was panicked. "Frank, something's happening at work." "What?" "Internal Affairs is reviewing my files. They're saying I approved permits without proper authorization." "Did you?" "I don't know. Maybe. I was just trying to be efficient. Clear the backlog. What happens now? They're going through everything. My calendar, my files, my approvals. They're saying there are discrepancies. Between what? Between my official schedule and, I don't know. They won't tell me everything. Maddie, I don't know what to say. I'm not a city employee. This is bad, Frank. They could reprimand me. Maybe even suspend me. Then you should probably talk to a lawyer. I can't afford a lawyer right now. The divorce is already costing. She stopped. Never mind. Good luck, I said. I hung up. Part of me felt guilty. She sounded genuinely scared. But then I remembered her laughing on the phone. Frank is just furniture. He won't fight. The guilt faded. Over the next week, the pressure on Maddie intensified. The internal review expanded. They were looking at everything, her work patterns, her permit approvals, her timesheets. She called me 3 more times, each time more desperate. Frank, I think someone's targeting me. Why would anyone target you? I don't know. But too many things are going wrong. Jessica's business collapsed. Ryan got suspended. Now this. Sometimes life just gets hard, Maddie. It's not just hard. It's coordinated. Someone's doing this. Who? She was quiet for a long moment. I don't know. But I could tell she was starting to suspect, starting to wonder if the furniture had finally gotten tired of being ignored. The mediation date arrived. We sat in a conference room, Maddie on one side with her lawyer, me on the other with Tom. Maddie looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, hair not quite as neat as usual. Her lawyer laid out their position, standard divorce split. She'd keep the house, I'd keep most of the business, we'd split the safe deposit box. Tom presented our counteroffer. I'd keep the business entirely. She'd get a small percentage of the house value. Nothing from the safe deposit box because it was my inheritance. Her lawyer scoffed. That's completely unacceptable. Then we'll see you in court, Tom said. Maddie leaned forward. Frank, why are you doing this? We can settle this like reasonable people. I looked at her. Really looked at her. You called me furniture. You said I wouldn't fight. So here I am. Fighting. Her face went pale. She glanced at her lawyer, then back at me. When did I? Doesn't matter. What matters is you underestimated me. Frank, we're done here. I stood. Tom gathered his papers. We left. In the parking lot, Maddie caught up with me. Frank, please, can we just talk? We just did. No, I mean really talk, without the lawyers. Why? Because this is getting out of control. My job is in jeopardy. Ryan's suspended, Jessica's business is gone, and now you're fighting the divorce. I'm protecting my interests. Are you? She stepped closer. Or are you punishing me? Does it matter? She looked like she was about to cry. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry for whatever I did to make you this angry. You're not sorry you did it. You're sorry it didn't work. That's not fair. Neither is trying to steal my inheritance. Neither is lying about where you were. Neither is calling me furniture. She had no response to that. I got in my truck and drove away. The court date was set for 6 weeks out. In the meantime, life continued. I went to work, installed solar panels, calculated load capacities, lived at Pete's place. But I was also executing the final phases of my plan. Phase 1 had been destroying Jessica's business. Complete. Phase 2 had been getting Ryan suspended. Complete. Phase 3 had been undermining Maddie's job. In progress. Phase 4 was the safe deposit box, and that required careful timing. I went to the bank, First National, asked to access my box. The clerk led me to the vault, handed me the key, left me alone. I opened the box. Inside was the envelope with my inheritance. $50,000 in bonds and certificates. I took it all out, put it in my bag. Then I placed something else inside. A folder, thick, full of documents. Everything I'd compiled over the past 2 months. Copies of Maddie's emails with Jessica, the ones where they plotted to take everything from me. Copies of her work calendar with my annotations, showing the discrepancies between her official schedule and her claimed hours. Copies of Ryan's social media posts, time-stamped and cross-referenced with the deputy mayor's schedule. Copies of the parking camera footage showing Maddie and Ryan leaving City Hall together. Photos from Jessica's social media showing Ryan in the background during Maddie's supposed girls' trip. The police report from Ryan's confrontation with me. The complaint I'd filed that got Ryan suspended. Maddie's permit approvals that violated city policy. Everything. All of it legal. All of it verifiable. All of it damning. I also included a letter, addressed to Maddie's lawyer. These documents represent evidence obtained legally from public sources and personal records. They demonstrate a pattern of deception, adultery, and professional misconduct by Madison Rourke. They are provided for your review and consideration in the ongoing divorce proceedings. I closed the box, locked it, left the bank. Now I just had to wait for Maddie to take the bait. She did. Of course she did. 3 weeks before the court date, her lawyer filed a motion requesting access to the safe deposit box. They claimed it contained marital property that needed to be inventoried for division purposes. Tom called me. They want the box opened. Let them. You sure? Once they see what's in there, that's the point. He was quiet for a moment. What exactly is in that box, Frank? Evidence. Of what? Everything. He laughed. You sneaky son of a gun. You set a trap. I learned from watching solar installations. Sometimes the best way to solve a problem is to let the system reveal its own flaws. Well, this should be interesting. The hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. A judge would review the motion and decide whether to grant access to the box. In the meantime, Maddie's troubles at work continued. The internal review concluded that she had, in fact, approved permits without proper authorization. She received a formal reprimand. A note went in her permanent file. She was placed on a performance improvement plan. She was furious, called me late one night, slightly tipsy. You did this, she said. Did what? All of it. You reported me. You got Ryan suspended. You destroyed Jessica's business. That's a lot of credit you're giving me. Don't play dumb, Frank. I know it was you. You know what I know, Maddie. I know you lied to me for months. I know you had an affair. I know you tried to steal my inheritance. So even if I did do all those things, which I'm not admitting, you'd have earned it. I never cheated on you. Right. You just spent all that time with Ryan for his stimulating conversation. She was crying now. Why are you being so cruel? I'm not being cruel. I'm being fair. You made choices. Those choices had consequences. That's how life works. I want a divorce. I want this over. Then stop fighting me on the terms. I can't. I need the money. I need the house. I can't afford... You should have thought about that before you decided I was furniture. I hung up. Pete found me in the garage afterward, staring at nothing. You okay? He asked. Yeah? That sounded rough. It was necessary. You sure about that? I looked at him. She tried to take everything from me. My money, my business, my dignity. And she thought I'd just let it happen, so yeah, I'm sure. He nodded slowly. Just don't lose yourself in this, Frank. Revenge is satisfying, but it's also corrosive. I'm not losing myself. I'm finding myself. He didn't look convinced, but he didn't push. The hearing arrived. We gathered in a small courtroom, Judge Patterson presiding, Maddie and her lawyer on one side, Tom and me on the other. Maddie's lawyer argued that the safe deposit box contained marital property that needed to be inventoried. Tom argued that it contained my separate property inheritance and that Maddie had no legal right to access it without my permission. Judge Patterson reviewed the filings, looked at both sides. Mr. Rourke, is your inheritance in that box? She asked. No, Your Honor. I moved it for safekeeping. What's in the box now? Personal documents, records, things relevant to this divorce. Such as? Evidence of my wife's adultery and professional misconduct. Maddie's lawyer shot to his feet. Your Honor, that's inflammatory and— I'll decide what's inflammatory, Judge Patterson said. Mr. Rourke, you're claiming you have evidence of adultery? Yes, Your Honor. Time-stamped photos, parking footage, email correspondence, all legally obtained. The judge looked at Maddie's lawyer. Did you know about this? No, Your Honor. This is the first we're hearing of it. I see. She made some notes. Here's my ruling. Mrs. Rourke will be granted access to the safe deposit box, but only in the presence of both parties, both attorneys, and a court reporter. Whatever is in that box will be documented and entered into evidence. If there are funds, they'll be held in escrow pending the final divorce decree. If there are documents, both parties will receive copies. Any objections? No, Your Honor, Tom said. Maddie's lawyer looked like he wanted to object, but couldn't figure out how. No, Your Honor, he finally said. Good. Bailiff will coordinate the logistics. We'll reconvene at the bank next Wednesday at 10 a.m. She gavelled the session closed. In the hallway, Maddie's lawyer pulled her aside. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but his expression was serious. Concerned. Maddie looked at me across the hallway. Her eyes were wide, frightened. She was finally starting to understand. The week leading up to the safe deposit box opening was tense. Maddie tried calling me twice. I didn't answer. She sent texts. I didn't respond. Tom advised me to stay silent. Let her stew, he said. Let her worry about what's in that box. I followed his advice. Meanwhile, Ryan resurfaced. Not at a parking lot this time. At a job site. I was on a roof, installing panels on a commercial building, when Pete called up to me. Frank, someone here to see you. I looked down. Ryan was standing in the parking lot below, hands in his pockets. I climbed down the ladder, stayed on the last rung, ready to move if I needed to. What do you want? I asked. To talk. We've got nothing to talk about. I think we do. He glanced around. The rest of the crew was watching. Can we do this somewhere private? No. Come on, man. I'm not here to start anything. Then why are you here? He took a breath. Because I know what you did. And I know why. And I want to make you a deal. I'm listening. You drop whatever you're planning to do next, and I'll disappear. I'll quit the city, move out of state. You'll never hear from me again. Why would I agree to that? Because if you don't, this gets uglier. For both of us. Is that a threat? It's a reality check. He stepped closer. You think you've won. You think you've destroyed my life and Maddie's life and you're going to ride off into the sunset, but you're wrong. I've got nothing left to lose, and people with nothing to lose are dangerous. I'll take my chances. His jaw tightened. You're making a mistake. Wouldn't be the first time. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he turned and walked away. Pete climbed down from the roof. That guy's trouble. I know. Want me to call the cops? No, not yet. Why not? Because he's right. He's got nothing to lose, and cornered animals are unpredictable. So, what's your plan? Stay alert. Be ready. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed at Pete's place, staring at the ceiling, thinking about Ryan's words. He was desperate, and desperate people do desperate things. I got up and checked the pepper spray in my jacket pocket, made sure it was accessible, made sure it worked. Then I checked the locks on Pete's doors and windows. Everything secure. I went back to bed but didn't sleep. Just waited for dawn. The next few days passed without incident. No more visits from Ryan, no more confrontations. But I stayed vigilant. Wednesday morning arrived, the day of the safe deposit box opening. I met Tom at the bank at 9:45. Maddie and her lawyer were already there. So was a court reporter with a stenography machine. Judge Patterson arrived at 10 sharp. Everyone ready? She asked. We nodded. The bank manager led us to the vault, handed me the key. Open it, Judge Patterson said. I unlocked the box, pulled it out of the wall, set it on the table in the center of the vault. Maddie leaned forward, eyes wide. I lifted the lid. Inside was the folder, thick, full of documents. Her lawyer reached for it, stopped, looked at the contents. His face went white. He slammed the lid shut, turned to Maddie. "Don't touch anything." "What?" Maddie asked. "What's in there?" "Evidence. Against you." Judge Patterson stepped forward. "Let me see." Maddie's lawyer reluctantly opened the lid again. Judge Patterson pulled out the folder, started flipping through the contents. Her expression remained neutral, but I could see her absorbing the information. After several minutes, she closed the folder. "This appears to be documentation of adultery and professional misconduct," she said. "Time-stamped photographs, email correspondence, parking camera footage, all legally obtained as far as I can tell." Maddie's lawyer was sweating. "Your Honor, we had no knowledge of this." "Clearly." She looked at me. "Mr. Rourke, this is quite a collection." "I'm thorough, Your Honor." "So I see." She turned to the court reporter. "Note that the safe deposit box contained no funds or financial instruments, only documentary evidence related to marital misconduct. Copies will be provided to both parties." Maddie was shaking. "Frank, what did you do?" I didn't answer. Her lawyer pulled her aside, started whispering urgently. Judge Patterson handed the folder to Tom. "Make copies for opposing counsel. We'll reconvene in my chambers in 1 hour to discuss how this affects the divorce proceedings." We left the vault. Maddie was crying. Her lawyer looked grim. In the parking lot, Tom turned to me. "That was brilliant," he said. "It was necessary. She's going to fold now. You know that, right? With this evidence, she's got no leverage." Good. An hour later, we were in Judge Patterson's chambers. She'd reviewed the documents more thoroughly. "Mrs. Rourke," she said, "based on this evidence, I'm inclined to rule against you on alimony. Adultery is grounds for denial in this state." Maddie's lawyer nodded miserably. "As for the property division," Judge Patterson continued, "the house will be sold and proceeds split. Mr. Rourke's business remains his separate property, with a small settlement to Mrs. Rourke for contributions during the marriage, and Mr. Rourke's inheritance, which was kept separate, remains his separate property." "Your Honor," Maddie's lawyer said weakly, "we'd like to request—" "You can request all you want, counselor. But unless you've got evidence to contradict what's in that folder, my ruling stands. Do you have such evidence?" "No, Your Honor." "Then we're done here. I'll issue the final decree within 30 days. Any objections?" Tom shook his head. "No, Your Honor." Maddie's lawyer looked at Maddie. She was staring at the floor. "No, Your Honor," he said quietly. We left the courthouse. Maddie tried to approach me, but her lawyer stopped her. "Don't," he said. "Just don't." I got in my truck and drove away. It was over. The divorce, the fight, all of it. But there was still one more thing I needed to handle. Ryan. 2 days after the courthouse meeting, Ryan called me. I don't know how he got my number, probably from Maddie. "We need to talk," he said. "I thought we already did. Face to face. Tonight." "Why would I agree to that?" "Because if you don't, I'm going to make your life very difficult. You already tried that. Didn't work out well for you. This is different. This is your last chance to end this peacefully." I thought about it. Part of me wanted to refuse, but another part wanted to see this through to the end. "Where?" I asked. "Behind the courthouse. Service yard. 8 o'clock. "Fine." I hung up. I told Pete where I was going. "That's a bad idea," he said. "Probably." "Want me to come with you?" "No, this is between him and me. At least take your phone. Keep it recording." "I will." At 7:45, I drove to the courthouse. The service yard was in back, where delivery trucks unloaded, where maintenance crews stored equipment, concrete ramps, dumpsters, metal railings. I parked and got out, checked my phone, recording. Ryan was already there, standing near a dumpster, arms crossed. "You came," he said. "You asked me to. I didn't think you would. What do you want, Ryan?" He started pacing. "You destroyed my life, you know that, right? You destroyed your own life, I just documented it. You sent those files. You got me suspended. You used a city vehicle for personal business. That's on you. I used it to see her, to see Maddie, because she wanted to see me, because her husband was boring and distant and she needed something more." "Is that what she told you?" "It's the truth." "No. The truth is you're a guy who thought he could get away with breaking the rules, and when you got caught, you looked for someone to blame." His fists clenched. "You're so self-righteous, so perfect. But you're not. You're vindictive. You're cruel." "I'm realistic. Actions have consequences. You and Maddie forgot that." "Consequences." He laughed bitterly. "You want to talk about consequences? I lost my job, my reputation, my future, all because you couldn't handle your wife leaving you." "She didn't leave me. She tried to steal from me. Big difference. She deserved better than you." "Maybe, but she didn't deserve my inheritance." He stepped closer. "This ends tonight." "How?" "You're going to call whoever you need to call. Fix what you broke. Get me my job back." "I can't do that. And even if I could, I wouldn't." "Then I'll make you." He swung at me. I saw it coming. The anger in his eyes, the tension in his shoulders, the slight shift of his weight. I stepped back. His fist sailed past my face. He swung again, wilder this time, desperate. I ducked, moved to the side. "Ryan, stop!" But he didn't. He came at me again, trying to grab me. I sidestepped. He stumbled forward, caught himself on a metal railing. "This is stupid," I said. "You're just making it worse." "Shut up!" he charged. I moved behind a dumpster, put it between us. "Ryan, think about what you're doing. There are cameras here, security cameras. You're being recorded." He hesitated, looked around, saw the cameras mounted on the courthouse wall. "I don't care," he said, but his voice wavered. "You should. Assault charges on top of everything else? You'll never work in this city again." "I already can't work in this city." "Then leave. Go somewhere else. Start over." "I can't. Not until this is finished." He feinted left, then came at me from the right. I wasn't fast enough. He grabbed my jacket, shoved me against the dumpster. "You think you're so smart," he hissed. "You think you've won." I reached into my pocket, pulled out the pepper spray. His eyes widened. I sprayed. He screamed, stumbled back, fell to his knees, hands covering his face. I stepped away, breathing hard, adrenaline pumping. He was gasping, cursing, tears streaming from his eyes. I stood there, watching him, feeling nothing. "It's over, Ryan," I said quietly. "It was always going to end this way. You just couldn't see it." I pulled out my phone, stopped the recording, started a call. 911? What's your emergency?" "I need to report an assault," I said. "Behind the courthouse, service yard. The attacker is still here." Ryan tried to get up, slipped, fell. "Please send officers," I continued. "I'm not hurt, but the situation is unstable." The dispatcher kept me on the line until the police arrived. 2 squad cars, 4 officers. They found Ryan still on his knees, eyes red and swollen from the pepper spray. They found me standing calmly, phone in hand, recording still saved. I gave my statement, showed them the video, showed them the text messages where Ryan had threatened me. They arrested him. Assault, harassment, violation of a protective order I'd filed after his first confrontation. As they led him away, he looked at me. His face was a mess, eyes swollen, nose running, face twisted with rage and despair. "This isn't over," he said. "Yes," I replied. "It is." They put him in the squad car and drove away. An officer took my information, asked if I needed medical attention. I declined. "You did the right thing," he said, "calling us, protecting yourself." "Thanks." We'll need you to come to the station tomorrow. Give a formal statement. I'll be there. I drove home, hands steady, mind clear. At Pete's place, I poured myself a whiskey, sat on the porch. Pete came out, sat next to me. You okay? He asked. Yeah? What happened? I told him. Everything. The confrontation, the pepper spray, the arrest. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he said, You think that's the end of it? It has to be. Ryan's facing charges. Maddie's got nothing. The divorce is done. And you? How do you feel? I thought about it. Relieved. Tired. But not guilty. Not guilty. They made their choices. They tried to take advantage of me. They failed. That's not on me. He nodded slowly. Just make sure you don't become what you hated. I won't. But even as I said it, I wondered if I already had. The next few days were a blur. Formal statements at the police station, more paperwork for the divorce, finishing up job sites, trying to return to normal life. But normal felt different now. I'd changed, not in ways I could easily explain, just harder, more aware, less willing to trust. Maddie sent me one final text. I'm sorry for everything. I didn't respond. Tom called with the final divorce decree. Everything had gone through as planned. House sold, proceeds split, business remained mine, inheritance remained mine. No alimony. You won, Tom said. Yeah. You don't sound happy about it. I'm satisfied. That's different. Fair enough. I hung up. Pete's sister mentioned that Maddie had taken a leave of absence from City Hall. Rumor was she was moving to another state. Starting over. Good for her, I thought. But I didn't really care. Ryan pled guilty to assault charges, got probation and a restraining order. He moved out of the city a week later. I never saw either of them again. Life moved on. I kept working, kept installing solar panels, kept solving problems with math and tools. But sometimes late at night, I'd think about that moment in the courthouse vault, when Maddie saw what was in the safe deposit box, when her face went white, when she realized she'd underestimated me. That moment made everything worth it. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, I was working a commercial job downtown when I got a call from Detective Williams with the county sheriff's department. Ryan Coulter violated his restraining order, he said. Showed up at your old house. Your ex-wife called it in. I don't live there anymore. We know. But he was looking for you. Said he had unfinished business. He's in custody now, but I wanted to give you a heads up. He's making threats. What kind of threats? Nothing specific enough to charge him with, but enough that we're concerned. You should be careful. I thanked him and hung up. Pete saw my expression. Problem? Maybe. I told him about the call. You need to end this, Pete said. For good. He was right. Ryan had become a loose end. I called Detective Williams back. I want to file a restraining order against Ryan Coulter, based on his recent behavior. Come in this afternoon, we'll do the paperwork. I also contacted Ryan's probation officer, laid out his pattern of behavior, his violations, his threats. I'm just asking you to document this, I said. So when he does something worse, there's a paper trail. I appreciate the heads up, the officer said. Over the next week, Ryan's behavior escalated. He violated the restraining order twice more, showed up at places he wasn't supposed to be. Each time it was documented. Each time the authorities were notified. Finally, his probation was revoked. He was sentenced to 6 months in county jail for repeated violations. 6 months for me to live without looking over my shoulder. When I heard the news, I felt the last piece of tension release. It was finally over. I moved out of Pete's place, found a small apartment downtown. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. One evening, I was sitting on my balcony, watching the sunset, when my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You win. I'm done. I recognized the number. Ryan's. I deleted the message without responding. The next morning, I went to work. Another roof. Another installation. Another problem to solve. Pete climbed up to help me with a panel. "You seem different," he said. "How so?" "Lighter, like you've let something go." "Maybe I have." "Good. You deserve some peace." We finished the installation by noon. Perfect alignment. Perfect solution. Several months passed. Work stayed steady. Life normalized. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon, I got a letter from Maddie. Inside was a single page. Handwritten. "Frank, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know that I understand now. What I did was wrong. How I treated you was wrong. And I'm sorry. I've moved. Started over. I'm working as a receptionist at a medical office. Ryan contacted me once after he got out. I didn't respond. I learned my lesson. I hope you're doing well. Take care of yourself. Maddie." I read it twice. Then I folded it and put it away. I didn't respond. Didn't need to. But I didn't throw it away either. The final piece came 3 weeks later. I was at the bank when I ran into the manager who'd helped with the safe deposit box. "Mr. Rourke, good to see you. I wanted to thank you. Your situation made us review our security protocols. Glad I could help. How are things now? Everything settled?" "Yeah, finally. You handled a difficult situation with remarkable composure." I shrugged. I just did what needed to be done. We shook hands and parted ways. That evening, I sat on my balcony with a beer, watching the city lights come on. My phone buzzed. A text from Pete. "Job tomorrow canceled. Want to grab breakfast?" "Sure. 8 o'clock?" I set the phone down and closed my eyes. For the first time in a year, I felt completely at peace. Several more months passed. Life continued its steady rhythm. Then I got his text at 7 p.m. "One more time, tonight, you know where." I could have ignored it, could have called the police. But I was tired of loose ends. I drove to the courthouse, parked in the back, walked into the service yard. Ryan was there, leaning against the railing near the loading dock. He looked terrible, gaunt, unshaven, eyes hollow. "You came," he said. "Let's finish this." He pushed off the railing. "You destroyed my life. You destroyed your own life. I just documented it. Same thing. Not even close." He moved toward me, slow, deliberate. I stood my ground. "I could hurt you," he said. "You could try. You're not scared?" "Not anymore. You're just a guy who made bad choices and can't accept the consequences." His face twisted. "You think you're better than me?" "No, I think I'm smarter than you." He swung. I'd been expecting it. Stepped back. His fist missed by inches. He swung again. Wilder this time. I sidestepped. He stumbled on the wet concrete ramp. His feet went out from under him. He crashed into a dumpster. Hard. Collapsed to the ground. I stood over him. He was gasping, holding his ribs, tears in his eyes. "You done?" I asked. He didn't answer. I grabbed his collar, pulled him up, looked him in the eyes. Then I delivered one sharp, humiliating slap across his face. Not hard enough to injure, just hard enough to make a point. "Now we're even," I said quietly, "and I'm the one still standing." I let him go. He slumped against the dumpster. I walked away without looking back. Got in my truck, drove home, and that was it. The end.